Welcome to Speak for Yourself, Marcellus Wiley, looking for the rest of Emmanuel Acho. That's how. Oh, it's Casual Fridays.
It's Casual Fridays, baby.
Really? We ain't at no 9 to 5. We ain't got no cubicle. We ain't got no real job. You better put a real suit on. All right. Let's get it started in New England, where Mac Jones put on a real suit. But first, Cam Newton got the start in the Patriots' first preseason game last night against the Washington football team. Cam played 2 series, including a 9-play drive that led to points. Field goal. That's 1, 2, 3, Acho. Patriots fans gave Mac Jones, Mac Jones, a standing ovation when he entered the game. Rookie went 13 of 19 for 87 yards and led 2 field goal drives of his own. Okay, so Acho, is it Mac Jones? Mac Jones time in New England.
So I don't know if it's Mac Jones' time, but it's coming very, very, very soon. It was just a different feel, a different look when Mac Jones was out there versus Cam Newton. Now, I'll be honest. I may have been looking for something different.
Okay, now we talking.
I may have been looking for something different, but it was a different look. Cam Newton went out there, and he didn't play bad by no means, but he didn't do anything that said, oh, I've seen a significant difference. I've seen growth. I've seen change. He's airing it out now. Wow, Cam Newton looks like he's resurged to 2015 MVP form. No, he just looked like the same Cam Newton we saw last year. An average Cam Newton, right? You can win with it, but you can surely lose with it. And the stats, statistics, and all that back it up. So he was, 4 of 7, if I'm not mistaken, in the game. Didn't really have much to show for it.
Over 50% to me.
3 points.
Oh, yeah. You got 3 points in 2 drives versus 6.
But the problem is, and it was said best pre-show, talking to the producers, watching Cam Newton is brutal. Watching Cam Newton is not bad.
And we got bad
But
producers.
watching Cam Newton is brutal. It's like, it was just boring. Sal, check down.
Oh, points
check
are
down.
boring?
Run.
Patriots
check
are
down. Check down. Run. And the kicker here with Cam Newton versus Mac Jones is this. You cannot afford to have a setback with Cam Newton. Because if you have a penalty, the offense, as Cam Newton runs it, isn't designed to get chunk yardage. The longest pass play Cam Newton had was 17 yards, an incredible gain of 17 yards. It was a screen where he threw the ball backwards. Mac Jones instantly comes in the game and airs it out 15 yards. A completed pass. Bill Belichick didn't bother challenging it just because I guess he didn't want to in the preseason. So, Sal, as I look at it, it's not necessarily Mac Jones' time just yet, but Mac Jones' time is coming very, very quickly.
Man, got to check your lens, brother. You got to clean it out. Windex, I suggest. It's everywhere because you're not seeing this correctly. Respect for what you're saying, because I heard a lot of the fans last night kind of basically looking through the same lens and saying the same things as you, which is, oh, my God, look at Mac Jones versus look at Cam Newton. Mac Jones' time in New England is not happening anytime soon, nor should it, because Mac Jones is a rookie. I always tell you that Bill Belichick's system in his first year is a sit or suck system. So he needs to sit or he's going to suck. Cam Newton had his struggles last year, but those struggles are behind him because they have retooled what this team looks like. Now, let's go by last night's standards, because if I don't go by last night's standards, I'm really going to just win this argument too fast, and we're going to have to go to the B block. Last night's standards, everyone wants to get so pumped up over Mac Jones because he led 5 drives to 2 field goals and 87 yards. That's great. But Cam Newton in 2 drives, and one of his drives was 54 yards, damn near what Mac Jones did in 5 drives. I don't want to compare them to each other because there is no comparison, but I have to do my job, and you're going to bring up Cam Newton and try to undermine his efforts, so I got to bring up Mac Jones and undermine his. This team is not built the way that Mac Jones needs a team to be built. They don't have the star power at the receiver position. Mac Jones is best in the pocket. Mac Jones can dart from the pocket. Mac Jones is going to be a beast. Trust. However, they're not built for that. They're built in a run-centric, kind of hybrid formation and mindset and philosophy. What is that? The 2 tight ends. We got to give run-balanced looks because we need a playmaker at quarterback. Cam Newton is better than Mac Jones right now just based on experience in the pocket. Barely. I would say that. That's because that's Mac Jones' strongest suit. However, he's not a playmaker at all. This system knows that things are going to break down because we don't have the playmakers yet. We spend a lot of money, tight ends, receivers, everywhere. We spend a lot of money. But the strength of this team is their offensive line, in particular, run blocking. Well, who's going to help them in run blocking more, Cam Newton or Mac Jones? Because when plays break down or in design run plays, who's going to take advantage of that? Cam Newton. He did it last year. Remember, this team won 7 games and was in contention for 4 more games, deep in their opponent's territory, with the ball, with the game on the line. That's an 11-win team if things break their way. Cam Newton now, in the system, year 2, is the perfect fit to maximize what this team can do right now this year. If you're talking about the future, talking about 2022 and beyond, oh, it's Mac Jones all day. But right now, while you still have a team built to run the football, you better have a quarterback that can run the football.
So
I broke that down, y'all.
The reason you did break it down, but the reason I so vehemently disagree is because I agree. I agree with one part of your take. I agree with the part that is Cam Newton and Mac Jones, they're not too different right now. Not at all, not in my opinion.
No, in passing. In running, they are. They're never going to be
the same.
Well, that counts now. It's 2.0
But I would say it like this.
Don't do that.
If Mac Jones is not significantly worse, if he's not bad, then I would start him right away. Because let me go ahead and take some of the lumps that's got to be taken anyway. Cam Newton last year was a 7-8 quarterback. Based upon what we've seen, incredibly limited. But based upon what we've seen, it don't seem like Cam Newton made incredibly great strides. We know Hunter Henry wasn't out there. I don't think Nelson Aguilar was out there. He didn't have everybody fully out there. Chase Young was on his neck. But it doesn't look like Cam Newton was just a complete different individual. So as a result, Mac Jones looked good enough. He didn't look great, but he looked good enough. And if a rookie quarterback cell doesn't look bad, to me that's implications that he will be great. If you throw somebody on set with no practice and they hold their own, I'm kind of like, hey, if you weren't terrible, that means you're going to be all right. And as I looked at it yesterday, Mac Jones wasn't terrible. And as a result, he going to be all right. I know Cam Newton's ceiling in New England. I don't know Cam Newton's ceiling in life, but I know Cam Newton's ceiling in New England. Mac Jones, I have no idea of his ceiling, and I want to get to know it, Sal. Cam Newton, last year, versus winning teams. He played 7 times versus winning teams. He was 2-5. 7 games. His point differential for his team, -52. 7 games. And he threw 2 passing touchdowns in 7 games. Mac Jones can't get much worse than that. He can only get 2 games worse than that as far as win or loss, but he can't get much worse than 2 passing touchdowns in 7 games. So as I look at it, if Mac Jones can't get much worse than what Cam had to offer last year, and it doesn't appear that Cam Newton is much better than Mac Jones right now based upon what we saw yesterday. I saw a limited sample size, but a sample size nonetheless. Then why in the world would I keep riding with Cam Newton?
Because I'm going to break it down to you. I'm trying to be respectful of both these guys. See, I'm the actual coach of this team right now. I am Bill Belichick, and I'm saying, look, I know what these guys can do and can't do. I love the fact that you want right now Mac Jones to touch the ceiling because he looks capable. It looks like he could do it. Looks like he can't do worse than Cam Newton. Don't judge Cam Newton based on last year, bruh. Not just because they didn't have the weapons, but because this year they do have more. Not enough, but more. They spent $288.5 million this offseason in free agency. We're going to judge Cam Newton on that. They have bought themselves a better team. We'll see how much better. We'll see. But they're still not prolific on the outside. So now you're going to
What is it, though, sir? You're confusing me, big dog. You're confusing me.
Because you know why I'm confused? I'm going to tell you why you're
still not prolific. Which one is it?
That's all to my point. You have the lens of the ugly girl. You walk into the room and you say, why everybody looking at me think I ain't cute? Now, if you were the fine girl, you'll walk in the room and say, look at everybody staring at me and thinking I'm fine. But guess what? To me, y'all both look the same. Ha. It's just what you thinking. You thinking it's Mac Jones time, so everything he does, you're going to exaggerate. But everything Cam Newton does, that's the same. You're going to now lessen because Cam Newton's a former MVP, because Cam Newton should be better. But they doing the same thing. Now, let's get to my analysis. That was just answering your question. My analysis is, who's better at running the football, Cam or Mac
Newton.
Jones?
Yes, sir, Cam Newton.
Who's better at passing the football right now, Cam?
I think Mac Jones, sir.
Okay, you can say that. I'm not trying to force you to say something. Who's better at playmaking?
I would say Cam Newton.
Anytime you got to always say, I will say. Okay. But when it's Mac Jones, you say Mac Jones. But I will say.
I don't want to argue with you. You're making a point.
So the point is, in an assessment of that position, who has more boxes checked? Cam Newton. Now, let's not even talk about experience. Now, let's talk about continuity. Let's not even talk about knowing the system better. None of those things. Cam Newton is better for this situation right now in the present.
Nope.
The future can be bright, but the present is Cam Newton.
Here's where I disagree with you. You said, who's better at running the football? Cam Newton, check. Who's better at passing the football? I would say Mac Jones. The reason I would say Mac Jones, even if we look at last night, average depth of target, 7.6 for Mac Jones. Cam Newton, 0.7. Like, not a yard, 0.7 of a yard. Now, the reason you say who's a better playmaker, it is Cam Newton. But I have always believed the job of a quarterback is not to be a playmaker. The job of a quarterback is to get the ball into the hands of the playmakers.
What if
the
he
greatest
is the quarterback
of all time?
Lamar Jackson is that.
Sure, but to me,
Cam Newton was that to become an MVP.
There's a ceiling there. Peyton Manning, you said he's your GOAT, greatest quarterback of all time. He got the ball in the hands of Edwin James, Dallas Clark, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne.
And name them on this team. Go.
So that's my point. The real debate is, do they have enough talent?
That's not a debate.
But we don't know yet.
That's not a debate.
Jonnu Smith, Bill Belichick said, is the best tight end running after catch. Bill Belichick, greatest coach of all time.
Yes.
If he said Jonnu Smith is the best tight end in the league running after catch, then that's a playmaker.
You're making my point.
Now, but I'm not, because
Yes, you are.
If they have playmakers, which is Jonnu Smith, which is Nelson Aguilar, if they have playmakers, then give me the quarterback who can get the ball into the hands of the playmakers.
Yeah.
Don't give me the quarterback who is the playmaker. Last year, give me Cam.
My God.
There were not playmakers. But if you're telling me they got playmakers, or at least if Bill Belichick is telling me they got playmakers, give me the quarterback who passes the ball 8 yards down the field as opposed to the quarterback who passes the ball 0.8 yards down the field.
Acho, if you go out there and try to highlight this offense based on a tight end being your most prolific receiver, you know what's going to happen to this offense? It's dead in the water.
Wow.
Look, I give you
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, because they threaten everywhere. They also got Tyreek Hill over here. They also used to have Sammy Watkins. You got guys everywhere. You got running backs. This team doesn't have all of that. You're trying to tell me right now we're going to lead with our tight end. Here's the problem.
It's worked.
Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews tells you why this will work in New England as well. Because if you give the complexion to a defense that we're going to run the football, oh, by the way, we have prolific tight ends. We are not so prolific at the receiver position, but adequate, better than we were before. We can't start banking on N'Keal Harry just because he's having a good offseason, not just yet. So the point is, Bill Belichick knows he has to keep his offense looking in balance. If you're going to make your offense look to a defense that is in balance because the strength of your team is your run blocking, what are you going to do? Throw Mac Jones back there and say he can't run, and our receivers are not that great, but we're going to beat y'all in the passing game. His greatest strength is their greatest weakness right now. Mac Jones can dart it. Once they address outside receivers, once they get those dudes out there, then yeah, it's Mac Jones' time because Cam Newton seems like he's limited. But be careful how limited he looks because they're playing it close to the vest with Cam Newton. They know that they're going to roll out in week 1 when it counts with the Cam Newton package that you ain't going to show in the preseason because you already know it works in the regular season.
What works to 7 and 8? The Cam Newton package.
Dog.
This ain't 15, Sal. The Cam Newton package used to scare the mess out of me back when I was playing 14, 15, 13. Cam Newton would come out pregame in these high-top, all-gold Under Armour cleats, and the Cam Newton package was daunting. Now I scoff at it.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And here's the other thing.
That team almost went 500 and you scoffing at it?
To your point of tight ends, I think Bill Belichick is looking at it like this. The year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Ertz was their leading receiver. The year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
First of all, when did the Eagles win the Super Bowl?
Eagles just won it 4 years ago.
Oh, you talking about that?
Yeah. Reason. The year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Ertz was their leading receiver.
Yeah.
Year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, Kelsey, their leading receiver. Year the Niners went to the Super Bowl, Kittle, their leading receiver. So I think Belichick is like, you know what? I don't need dudes out there because the last couple Super Bowl
Did they
winners,
all have dudes out there, though?
They had a dude.
That's the point.
But the Eagles had Nelson Aguilar. The same Nelson Aguilar
but
that
they also
Patriots
had,
got.
They also
had
had
Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
They had Alshon.
More than
Alshon was like a little over the hill.
Is that better than what the New England Patriots have? Yes, come on.
We would assume.
And you picked the least of all those teams that won Super Bowl with a tight end leader.
I also think, well, remember the Niners, they had Emmanuel Sanders, but they have, what, a 32-year-old Emmanuel Sanders? He was a 700-yard receiver?
Yeah, he wasn't
The
great.
other question you have to ask yourself is this. Passer makes receiver. It ain't like Cam Newton is throwing cats open now. It ain't like Cam Newton is helping his receivers be better.
How did they get to the 7 wins last year? Tom Brady was there darting. Tom Brady left because he knew he didn't have the receivers to dart. They came back the next year and ran it back with the same receivers, and Cam Newton was stuck in there now, not darting. Guess what it's going to look like? 7-9. That was a great record based on what they had. Tom Brady departed because of what they had. Now, they spent $288 million to try to address it. But they addressed it in ways that can fit them now and grow going forward. They addressed it at the tight end position. I just know playing defense. If you give me a guy who is prolific at passing, but then you got a run-dominant team, and then he's going to sit there with adequate receivers and try to beat us, we laughing at him. I've been on #1 defenses. Go ahead. You ain't got the receivers out there. So guess what we going to do? We going to man out there, box it up in here. Now you can't run the football, and they can't get open on the receivers at the receiver position.
To me,
now what's that going to do for Mac Jones? Because he can't scramble.
But to me, that's the strategy I would use against Cam. Right? We talking ball now. Y'all got we talking ball. To me, that's the strategy I would use against Cam.
Really?
Cam Newton's not throwing anybody open. So let's play man on the outside. Let's keep 8 defenders in the box. All that is a fully loaded defensive lineman, linebackers. All right, Cam Newton, I got somebody spying you. I got a 4-man rush. I'm playing man on the outside. Cam Newton, even if your receiver gets a yard or two open, I trust that you won't place the ball accurately. Got you covered. Mac Jones, if we play man-to-man on the outside, everybody's in cat coverage with one single high safety. Mac Jones, if the receiver gets a step, you might be able to throw the receiver open. So the strategy that you're talking about employing, I actually think is a strategy that works best against Cam Newton, because I'm not worried about Cam Newton beating me with his arm.
But why you don't play to your strengths? No coach ever starts off their playbook by saying, I'm going to play to our weaknesses. Their weakness is their passing game. Their strength is their running game. Think about it. Cam Newton had the most rushing touchdowns he had last year since his MVP campaign, since he was young. Cam Newton is still great in the running game. They know that. They still have great offensive production in the running game. They still have one of the top run-blocking offenses in the league. So now you're telling me, but let's zag from that. Let's not zig with it. Let's zag from that, because Mac Jones could throw better than Cam. Throw what? Throw who open? Throw how? It's not going to work that way. Look, I'm not against your team. I just know that they already have continuity in this philosophy, and I think they're going to roll it out one more time this year to maximize it. Then they're going to say, we got receivers in our system. We got Mac Jones in our system. Going forward, we're going to grow and bring in other receivers to help out what your strength is, which is the passing game. But to do it right now, I just think that it's premature based on Cam's production.
Here's my thing, Sel.
Okay.
I do not think that Cam Newton is a good enough runner at this stage in his career to be this porous of a passer. I'm not going to call him a bad passer, but compared to the NFL, hopefully y'all understand the conversation in which we're having. Compared to the great quarterbacks in the NFL, Cam Newton is not a good enough runner to be this bad of a passer comparatively, statistically. He wasn't a great runner last year. He was an efficient runner last year. Last year, he had the second lowest yards per attempt in his career. He had a 10-year career. Second lowest. So from all his years.
From what heights, though?
Not the greatest. Not Lamar Jackson heights. Hold on. Lamar Jackson averages 7 yards a carry.
He wasn't in the same system. That system is you can't throw it. In Cam's system, you could throw it. Like, Cam has had some receivers.
But you said from what heights?
From what heights? Like, MVP heights. We're comparing Cam against Cam now. That's okay, but don't do that.
I'm strictly talking how many yards a carry. 2011 Cam. He came in averaging 5.6 yards a carry. Rookie Cam. Not MVP Cam.
And how many touchdowns that year?
14.
I mean, last year.
14 rushing. Last year, 12. Yeah, so that was the second most.
We getting in the end zone, bro.
But then
we getting points.
Then he got 5.8 yards a carry the next year. And now he's only at 4.3 yards a carry. So I'm just like, he's not
more than Ezekiel Elliott.
He's just not good enough as a runner to only average 0.7 yards per attempt through the air. 0.7. Bro, not a yard.
I'm not seeing this.
Not a yard.
I love you. I love your take, because that team is going to play that way. In my mind, this team, the Patriots, 2021 is going to play the way I'm saying it, because Belichick has already put too much money invested in this way. He went to get Mac Jones to say, going forward, we're going to build for you. But right now, this house is under construction. Cam Newton's the one with the hammer and the nails building it. Then he's going to pass it off to the real homeowner, which is going to be Mac Jones. But in the interim, be used to Cam, man. He still got a little left. A little toothpaste in that tube. Boy, you don't like Cam. I'm telling you. Coming up, if you missed the Field of Dreams game last night on Fox, That's your bad. We'll relive an iconic moment in sports that came with a Hollywood ending. It happened last night. But first, Dak Prescott guaranteed he'd be ready for week 1. We'll tell you if that was a mistake. Next, don't speak for yourself.
Dak Prescott announced earlier this week that he would be having a second MRI on his throwing shoulder when the team returned to Texas. The Cowboys then put out a tweet saying it was, quote, not a reason to worry, which only made us worry more yesterday.
Yeah.
Dak came back to guarantee he'd be ready for the start of the season, saying, quote, there's no doubt. That's the purpose of taking it slow and being cautious. The moment I get back and get going again, it's not going to be lingering. There's not going to be problems. And that's us playing it safe and being cautious with it. Last year was a tough year, and I never want to miss that much football again. Close quote. So, is Dak making a mistake by saying there's no doubt he'll be ready week 1?
No, he's not making a mistake. No doubt. He's the one playing. He's the one feeling it, whether you think it's a damaged shoulder or not. He's the one that's feeling it. He's the one that was shut down by the team. He didn't shut himself down. So if this is the guy that's going to say it, I'm going to be the guy that believes him and takes him at his word. Why wouldn't I? Like, what other way could I look at this? I could look at this and say, oh, Dak is just trying to cover up. For what? Dak missed almost all of last year. He ain't trying to cover up anything. He was like, I'm here. You saw my leg. My body was going this way. My leg was going that way. Dak has been real with this entire situation. Dak on Hard Knocks said, yeah, I had to have 2 surgeries. Dak has been forthright. Dak has also fought to try and get back to this moment where he could play again. Dak also knows I'm highly paid. The Cowboys know we've highly invested in him. And he also knows none of these games count right now. Team after team is coming out saying, we're not starting our quarterback. We're not starting our quarterback. We're not starting our quarterback. But then Dak is under so much scrutiny, because he got a star on his helmet, by saying, hey, I'm being cautious. I'm over here playing it safe. And it's always better to play it safe than sorry. And I love the fact that Dak Prescott is just being 100 with everyone. But people in this world don't take 100 like they used to take 100. You know why? Because most people in this world are used to bad news. Most people in this world always talk about how there's a fear of failure. Nah. The one that doesn't get the headlines is the fear of success. Most people are too scared to go out there and really try, put themselves on limb and risk and just put it all out there. Dak put it all out there and no one believes him because most people ain't used to doing it themselves. So I believe in the guy who said it because he's the guy who's been through it. He's the guy who's feeling it, and he's the guy who's going to be there week 1. You don't believe me?
Not at all.
I know you don't. I know you because you want to do.
Dak Prescott, man, I think he's making a huge mistake, y'all. I think he's making a huge mistake. And here's why. I'll tell Dak Prescott like I'm going to tell y'all. Primary tension is bred through unmet, unrealistic, or unknown expectations.
Okay, that's facts.
Primary tension is bred through unmet, unrealistic, or unknown expectations.
I'm with you.
Don't set an expectation high and then not meet that expectation, because the reason we will have tension is when you set that expectation and you don't meet it. Dak Prescott, Sal, he just set an expectation. He ain't have to do that. Just say, I'm working every day. I'm working hard to make sure I can get back to my team as soon as possible. But now you done told me week 1. So when you told me week 1, you better be there week 1. Because even in life, Sal, if you tell me you're going to be on time, be on time. You tell me you're going to be late, bet you're going to be late. But if you tell me you're going to do something, do it. Let your yes be your yes, let your no be your no. But Dak Prescott, he set himself up to a degree for failure. Because now what happens if he is not there week 1? The only time in life typically that you got beef, even if you don't realize it's beef, it's because you had an expectation. This is primarily relationally, but like, you know how it goes. You had an expectation, the expectation didn't get met. Man, I thought we were going to go out to date night on Friday. I thought date night was our Friday. I didn't say date night was our Friday. I know, but I just expected.
Yeah.
Wait. Now you had an expectation that went unmet. Now you got your feelings hurt. But if you didn't have that expectation, it would not have gone unmet and everything would have been good. Cowboys fans, they would have been all right had Dak Prescott just said, man, I'm working hard trying to get back. I'll be back as soon as possible. Y'all know how dedicated I am to this team. But he put a date on it, Sal. You put a date on it. Let's talk ball. God, I love this show. I love this show.
How many layers you got?
You know me, I have notes, y'all, but half the time I just be talking. You know, go back to Columbia, I'll go back to Texas, and you have these grueling 6 a.m. workouts.
Breakfast club.
6 a.m. workouts. You have a 45-pound weight on the ground on the turf, and you're pushing the 45-pound weight on the ground. Then you got to pick it up and throw it to a teammate who will have to push it on the ground 40 yards, and they pick it up and throw it. Grueling.
Say it.
But here's the thing. If coach tells you, hey, Acho, you got 4 of these, bet. By the time I'm done with my fourth one, I better be done.
Yeah.
But hey, Acho, you got 4 of these. Time fourth is done. Sudden change. Hey,
I got
2 more. No. You told me I had 4.
Yeah.
I gave you 4.
Yeah.
I'm cool with doing the 4 because you told me I had 4.
Yeah.
But don't tell me I have 4 and then give me 5.
Okay.
Dak, don't tell me you're going to be ready week 1 and then not be ready until week 2. Coach, I'd rather you not tell me a number and let me just go and suffer. But the second you tell me a number, I have an expectation. And if that expectation goes unmet, we got tension.
Okay. Why would you think that Dak Prescott should say something other than I'm going to be there week 1? Like, why? Like, where's every other starting quarterback going to be week 1? On the field, right? Unless they're injured. Guess what? Dak's like, I'm not injured. I had a setback, and then they shut me down. Fine. I'm respecting the protocol. Now I'm actually being obedient. I'm being respectful. I'm cooperating with them because it's in my best interest. And now I'm taking backlash. And then I say the obvious. I know you keep saying expectation, but this is not an expectation. This is obvious. Week 1, if you paid like Dak Prescott paid, second highest contract ever for the Dallas Cowboys at the time, where you going to be week 1? You ain't even got to say it. Ain't an expectation. It's obvious. So when he repeats what's obvious, someone gets mad at that. You know what's funny about that? People who project obvious and expectation, a lot of times it's responded with insecurity. Because people's like, why are you saying what we already know? Like, if I just up here start telling you, Acho, you know I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling, I'm inhaling and exhaling. You're like, you all right? Like, see you laughing? Like, it's just a weird dynamic and phenomenon. Dak Prescott is literally saying the most obvious thing. And everyone says it can't be that simple. So now the Dallas Cowboys did the most obvious thing. Dak is getting another MRI. Why? Because we knew what it looked like when he was hurt. We want to know what it looks like when he's healthy. No, you're setting unrealistic expectations. Man, y'all better stop with this. I'm going to give it to you like this, the last thing. When you're in this situation that Dak Prescott in, he knows that he's going to just get criticized no matter what he does. High, by, whatever in between, people going to shoot at him. But the problem is we're starting to kind of drift into like conspiracy land. We're starting to go into worlds where it's like, we don't really have a logical basis of this. Like, what if he's not there week 1? Well, Dak wasn't there week 6 all the way through week 17 last year, and everybody kept spinning. This world kept spinning. This year, if Dak is not there week 1, it's not the end of the world. But Dak's already told you, because it's not only an expectation, it's obvious.
I like your take.
Be real.
But the kicker is, A was wrong. And thus B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K were misplaced.
All the dominoes.
Yeah, A was wrong with your take, so everything else was misplaced. Here is A. If you told me, Acho, I'm inhaling, Acho, I'm exhaling, Acho, I'm inhaling, I would be like, so why are you telling me something that is so expected and so obvious?
Yeah.
But if the last 10 days you had been on oxygen, breathing with assistance, then if you were to come up here and be like, Acho, I'm inhaling, Acho, I'm exhaling, Acho, I'd be like, thank God, because you hadn't been doing that prior. The last 10 days, Dak ain't been throwing a football. So it's no longer expected that Dak will be throwing a football in 20 days because he ain't been throwing it the last 10. So for me, I'm like, wait a second, Sel. It is no longer obvious that Dak will be there week 1 because he hasn't been there. If everything was going status quo, obviously, Dak will be there week 1. Don't come out here and tell me you're going to be there week 1. Patrick Mahomes isn't like, I'll be there week 1. But the kicker is Dak hasn't been there right now. Thus, I need to know if you're going to be there week 1. But here is why I'm not co-signing the quote. If y'all can bring it back up, I'll read it when y'all can.
What you got?
Because his quote contradicts himself, Sel. They ask him, will you be there week 1? He says, there is no doubt. But then afterwards, he goes on to say, the fact of, I'm just taking it slow and being cautious. The moment I get back and get going again, it's not going to be lingering. He said, there's no doubt I'll be there. But then he said, the moment I get back and get going again. So you're sure you'll be there week 1, but you're not sure the moment you're going to be there. So there's a contradiction. Because they said, are you going to be there
That's not
week
a
1?
contradiction.
He said, no doubt. But then he said, the moment. My question is this then, Sel. What moment? What is the moment you get back there and get out?
Don't do
Because
that.
the moment might be week 2.
Don't do
that. The moment might be week 3. The moment might be tomorrow.
Thank you. That's it.
It might be.
Yes.
But he doesn't know the moment. And the reason he doesn't know the moment is because when he goes back to get an MRI, it may say something different than he expects. It may confirm his health, to your point, but to the point you exaggerated yesterday, when a doctor says, hey, just come back, we want to do another checkup. You could go back to do that checkup. They could check your blood pressure, and all of a sudden you need to be on blood thinners because your blood ain't pumping like it's supposed to. So Dak is not entirely sure if he's going to be there week one. And he said it himself because he said the moment. He didn't specify what moment.
Because he's not in control of the situation. That's why he didn't specify. He is actually respecting those around him, his team.
Then how could he know he'll be there week one?
Because he knows how he feels.
Oh, I got the answer.
I got the feel. I love when you get hyped up. You got to get married because I'm used to this. My wife, I'm like, baby, I still got the same answer. You ain't got to do all that. Here's the thing. September 9th, he's going to be there against Tampa Bay Bucks. Okay, let's talk about this. They shut him down. Walk with me, old football player you are.
I shall.
They shut you in practice. Acho, you used to wear my piece and all that. Big one, too. John Riggins style, like this with gum show. Right? You got it on. You ready. Neck roll, John Riggins. Like, you just ready. I'm ready to play linebacker, right? And they say, Acho, sit down. You're like, what? They say your knees and your hips, you had issues, right? They shut you down. Okay, and you sitting there like, we saw him on Hard Knocks, bitter. He can't even take jokes. He just chomping at the bit. I got to get out there. I'm Dak Prescott. They shut him down. Now, he's like, I'm ready to go. They're like, nah. We talked to the baseball team, the Texas Rangers. They said you shouldn't do anything. You're like, dog, I'm okay. They're like, no, we're being cautious with you because you're Dak Prescott. You got hurt last year and you saw what happened to us. They shut him down. So now he's like, coach, training staff, and I've been in that locker room, and I've been with those same trainers. I'm good. I'm Gucci. Let's go. And they like, nope. The Texas Rangers said shut you down. But we respect you as well because you're respecting us. This is what we'll do. We'll get another MRI. If it's clean, Dak, then we'll let you go out there. So the reason why Dak sounds so vague is because he is listening to others who are trying to dictate his future instead of him being one of those players. You know, Dak's a team guy. Dak ain't one of those guys that go rogue like, I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to practice when I want to practice. So out of respect to a default, Dak Prescott's in this position right now. Let me give it to you in story form real quick. When you say, oh, if you ain't practicing the last 10 days, then how should we expect you to play? I always tell you this story. The year I started in the Pro Bowl, that year I didn't practice one time, Acho. Like literally, it's Wednesday practice. I'm sitting there, sunglasses on, big old hat, foot in an ice bucket the whole day, all week. Sunday come, get a couple injections, phew. Next week, same thing. Phew. Now, that's me on the extreme because I had a surgery, I had to get back, and I only used my efforts for the game situation. Dak's in a completely different position. They're all working together in cooperation. That's why you're hearing some of this vagueness.
But you said this. You said Dak will be there week one if the MRI is, et cetera,
No, that's for them because they don't trust him. This is my last point. On Hard Knocks, you can see it. Dak wants to be out there, and they're like, no, we holding you back.
Of course.
So the only reason they don't trust Dak. They think Dak will lie.
Of course.
Like a fighter who can't see but say, one more round. So they're like, dog, you done.
So then here's what it comes down to. Dak being available week one isn't even up to him. Teams have independent neurologists. You know this now.
No.
You know this now, Sal.
That's not the same.
There comes a point.
It is up to Dak.
It's not. No, because if Dak, it's not even up to Dak if he can practice. Dak wanted to practice. They wouldn't let him practice.
Yes.
Dak wanted to.
Because this doesn't count. I to walk with these beats. You know this doesn't count.
Of course. But even still, the fact is, Dak does not dictate when he goes out there and when he doesn't. Athletic trainers do.
Right.
His coach does.
But when
Jerry
it's week
Jones
one,
doesn't.
like the first press
Dak
conference.
still doesn't.
Did you not see them eat their words, the Dallas Cowboys? Did you not see Mike McCarthy change his tune, 180? He first went out there, we fine. Dak's just sitting down, chilling. Then all of a sudden, we had to change a course. We have a sudden change. We are going to look at this differently and shut him completely down.
But you know, a trainer can overrule a player if the injury is severe enough.
If they have it, but he has no injury. Is severe, they just don't trust that he doesn't have
the
injury.
muscular strain is no injury?
It's done. Come on, dog.
You think Dak is totally healthy right now?
I think Dak is ready. If this was...
And he'd be practicing.
Dog,
He wouldn't even be practicing?
I'm sorry to tell you, there are levels to this. There are times in the regular season...
I've seen the levels.
Well, thank you. So
I've seen the Hall of Famers. Jason Peters, LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, Michael Vick. all of them cats practiced in training camp. They wouldn't do both practices.
Hold on.
They wouldn't do all practices.
You want to bring up some Bruce Smiths, some Thurman Thomases? You want to go to the upper?
Yes, but Dak Prescott is not Bruce Smith.
I'm not saying he is, but I've seen it where all of a sudden, if you got anything wrong with you and it doesn't count.
So he has something wrong with him.
Yes, he did.
But you did or does?
Did. I can't believe why you are doing this. How do you not follow this? You don't follow this?
I got you.
How you said Jay? I don't know what to say. The Jaguars, is he going to be there week 1? Bet.
Yes.
Oh, God, why we do all that? Coming up, the Jaguars still haven't named first overall pick Trevor Lawrence the starter. We'll tell you if Jacksonville should go ahead and do that. Next, so speak for yourself. Man, you got me in a twist.
Just days before they clash for the Universal Championship, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, comes face-to-face with John Cena. Plus, how far will the mind games go with Seth Rollins and Edge? The summer of Cena continues. An all-new Friday Night SmackDown, live at 8 Eastern tonight on Fox.
Our former colleague, Urban Meyer, is now the coach of my Jaguars. So transfer me some tickets, homie. They got a new quarterback in Jacksonville as well. His name is Trevor Lawrence, and folks think he's going to be pretty good. But Urban hasn't named the Jags' first overall pick the starter, admitting on Thursday that competition for the starting job between Lawrence and Gardner Minshew is still open. Got to bring in Fox NFL analyst and new member of the Jaguars broadcast team. All right, Bucky Brooks. Congrats on the new role, Bucky. But Acho, should Urban Meyer name Trevor Lawrence the starting quarterback right now?
The shadow that is Bucky Brooks.
Yeah, I'm about to say, all I see is teal.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All I see is teal.
He's welcome.
No matter what.
Bucky Brooks.
Look at him. Trying to act like he's busy, too. He's got a fake calendar. You ain't doing nothing this month. Look at that bottom. Fake calendar.
Anyway, I will. I'll save and spare you, Bucky, of the shade. Yes, Urban Meyer needs to name Trevor Lawrence the starter immediately. And I'm going to make this simple. I'm going to lead with my headline. What are the quarterback competitions currently in the National Football League? Let's start with the obvious. Jimmy G and Lance.
Trey Lance.
Well, Trey Lance, Jimmy G. Jimmy G has been to a Super Bowl. Okay, let's move on. Cam Newton, Mac Jones. Well, Cam Newton has been a league MVP. Okay, let's move on. Throw in Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, if you will. Well, Andy Dalton has been to 3 Pro Bowls. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the Saints. Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, for all it's worth, is one of only 8 quarterbacks in NFL history to pass for 5,000 yards in a season, with the likes of Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matthew Stafford, etc. And then there's Trevor Lawrence and Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is 7-13 as a starter. Gardner Minshew has made no Pro Bowls. Gardner Minshew has never had a record over 500. So to compete with Gardner Minshew makes no sense. And it's so illogical. It's so asinine that it's now laughable. I understand a competition with the likes of Jimmy G, a Super Bowl starting quarterback, with Cam Newton, a league MVP, with Jameis Winston, somebody who's thrown for 5,000 yards. But why in God's name would you have Trevor Lawrence competing with Gardner Minshew? Now, statistically, Gardner Minshew is no joke. 37 touchdowns to 11 career interceptions currently. That is great, particularly for the NFL. Kudos to him. But Gardner Minshew ain't no Super Bowl type of quarterback, and it might be the Jags' fault, it might be his fault. Regardless, it's the truth. Trevor Lawrence doesn't need to be competing. He should be named the starter immediately.
Look, I agree with you that Trevor Lawrence should be the starting quarterback, but he has to go through the rite of passage to be the starting quarterback. Acho, I remember when you went to Texas and you showed up the first day and they put Acho on your helmet. You think the coaches didn't know your name? No, there's things that we do in football that are routine and ritual. That's part of the deal.
Fair.
And what Urban Meyer wants to do in Jacksonville is make sure that Trevor Lawrence earns the right to be the starting quarterback. And the only way you can earn the right is to make sure that, look, it's undisputed. There's no doubt that he is the starting quarterback based on his performance. And so when he does those things and he puts together a few performances, I don't think Urban Meyer will have any problem naming him the starter. But if you stand in front of the room and you talk about all jobs being earned and this being the ultimate meritocracy, you got to put your QB1 through the same things that you put everybody else through.
Oh, man, Bucky, I love you, big dog. Congratulations on the new gig down there. Tell everybody you know me and watch how they treat you, because Duval's in the building. I got nothing but love for J-Ville. This is not a competition, and Urban Meyer needs to get to the point, which is Trevor Lawrence is our starting quarterback, so we can start to follow our leader. Here's the thing. I'm not even going to come up here and really trash Gardner Minshew because he's not trash. Gardner Minshew could play. Gardner Minshew got some numbers that could support why he's in this competition, especially his touchdown-to-interception ratio. 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in 2 years of playing football. Interesting. But in Jacksonville, since I played there, and in Jacksonville because they only have one playoff appearance in the last 13 seasons. In Jacksonville, because only 3 playoff appearances since 2000. That's when I was in Buffalo. Since Jacksonville has finished last in the AFC South 3 straight seasons and 4 of the last 5 seasons in the weird or weak division, Jacksonville needs more than wins. They need to start to build this culture. And I'm sorry, Gardner Minshew, you can play, but you are not the key element to building a culture. You know why? Because I saw you have your moment. I've been down the Minshew road. I remember you weren't the most mature guy in that moment, too. The mania. I'm sorry, Minshew mania. Remember Minshew mania, y'all? When this dude was a little more concerned about how many buttons he should open up when he got off the airplane instead of just how he going to lead this team to victory. That's what I saw. A team that didn't have a culture builder. They had a guy that could go out there and play some football, but you need more than that, especially when you're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars and their history. Now, if you look at it, we don't know what kind of player Trevor Lawrence is going to be in the NFL, but we know what the projections are. And, Bucky, that's when I got to push back on you because I've been there, too, where Coach put the tape on your helmet and Coach act like he don't know who you are and you got to prove yourself. That's a damn lie because some guys are just slotted in. We just doing that for theatrics. Be real about this. I got drafted in the 2nd round, had one of the worst training camps probably in NFL history because I'm coming from Columbia to the NFL. You want to talk about a leap? I didn't know what I was doing. And all I kept hearing was, oh, Wiley, I see you, man. You're coming along. You're doing just fine. Because they already had it slotted how it was going to play out. Meanwhile, other guys who out there killing it, but not the same draft position, you know where they ended up? Working at FedEx, probably at Amazon right now. Point being, they know how this game goes. So you better respect how the game goes and give Trevor Lawrence his props.
No, we can't just hand it to him. And here's what I would say.
He don't earn it.
No. He didn't earn it on the field yet. Whatever you come in the draft is pole position. What you get in terms of the starting lineup is how you do it on the field. And you have to remember, what Urban Meyer is doing is out here trying to create a new culture. And part of that new culture is, hey, we're trying to win everything. They have certain days that are designated winners and losers, where they are competing one-on-one and they're keeping score. And the score is announced over the PA system. So when you create a culture like that, where everyone is working, knowing that everything counts and you're graded on every performance, you just can't gift the rookie the starting job. And so they are keeping up with everything. Everything is tracked and monitored. And when Trevor Lawrence does enough and puts enough pelts on the wall to be the starting quarterback, that's when Urban's going to do it. But I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, I believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the starting quarterback. I have a sneaky suspicion that he's going to be the starting quarterback at some point. But he has to go through it. He has to do the rite of passage. We talked about it. We all have to do certain things to get to the other side. Trevor Lawrence has to make sure he does all the right things to get the other side to being the starting quarterback in Jacksonville.
But, Bucky, the reason either I disagree with you or I disagree with the customary rite of passage is this. To say that Trevor Lawrence has to earn it is implying that Trevor Lawrence has to outperform Gardner Minshew over the course of, call it 12 preseason series. What if he doesn't? What if Trevor Lawrence has 2-3 bad games, right? His first time playing in the league. You saw Mac Jones yesterday. His first 5 passes were low, probably preseason jitters. What if he doesn't? What if Gardner Minshew outperforms Trevor Lawrence in the preseason? Is Gardner Minshew going to start week 1? Absolutely not. So to name Trevor Lawrence in a competition when regardless he is going to start is being worthless with your words. And thus, if your team can't believe what you're saying, Urban, in regards to that competition, can they believe what you're saying in regards to anything else? Because if you're telling me Trevor Lawrence got to earn something, then what happens if he doesn't earn that thing? Will he not be given it? All of a sudden, Gardner Minshew outperformed him, so Gardner's starting? That's not true. That's not how it's going to work. So now Urban might end up lying to his team. So for the sake of Trevor Lawrence going through the rite of passage, now you, Urban, who is coming from college, and NFL players are already looking at you like, I know he was a good college coach, but like this the league now. We making more than you actually. Shoot, I ain't playing for free no more. Now your players are questioning your words all because you want to make Trevor Lawrence go through the rigors. I'm just not with that, Bucky Brooks.
Exactly. And think about it, man. You said it as well as I said it. That Urban Meyer is trying to build a culture. You got to build a culture with the proper leader. I'm sorry, Gardner Minshew, but you can't be our leader. We need a leader, not a mascot. And that dude took that moment and ran with it in a different direction than I want my team to follow. That's why it didn't translate to wins, because it was just like, oh, I got my numbers. I'm going to unbutton my shirt. I'm going to get in these magazines. And it was like, wait a minute. Make a Pro Bowl first before you start talking about a mania. Respect the real manias out there, like Hulkamania and Hulkamaniacs, bro. Oh, yeah. Like, respect that. Shout out to Randy, man. All right, here's the thing. I don't like the fact that this is even a competition because, like Acho said, Coach, I'm believing in you. Don't make me not. Don't make me start looking at your words second. Like, what are you really saying? Because in performance, I'm not just going to reward a fast starter. That's why I hated the preseason in terms of really job competition. I'm like, man, y'all fake. Y'all know who's better. Just put who's going to be better for 17 weeks for the season rather than who's going to look good in a few snaps every other preseason game. We know how this is going to play out, Bucky. It's Trevor Lawrence's team. If you're going to build anything, it has to be Trevor Lawrence. If not, he wouldn't even be there. Minshew Mania would still be going on. But y'all drafted him for a reason, so now it's Trevor Lawrence's season. Coming up, the Field of Dreams game on Fox last night was a movie, as the kids would say. From the players coming out of the cornfield to Tim Anderson's walk-off, the game did not disappoint. We'll tell you our favorite sports movies. Stick around. More Speak for Yourself is next. Damian Lillard is almost reaching Kevin Durant levels of petty on social media, according to whoever wrote this. The Blazers guard, who has previously commented on reports that he wants out of Portland, responded to a fan's post about the prospect of Dame still joining the Lakers. Here's the exchange. The fan wrote, "How much y'all want to bet that before the NBA season starts, the Lakers will still get Damian Lillard? LOL. To which Dame responded, "Bet $1 million. Cuh." We got Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher with us, but Acho, would Dame Lillard be making a mistake staying with the Blazers?
He'd be making a huge mistake, y'all. And the reason he would be making a mistake is because he's been there for 9 years, going on 10. The Blazers have the longest streak of any NBA team with playoff appearances of 8. But the closest he's gotten to an NBA Finals or an NBA title is getting swept in the Western Conference Finals just a few years ago by a KD-less Warriors team. So as I look at it, Dame is in a dilemma, Slick Rick, and he's in a dilemma because Dame clearly does not have the pieces or he does not trust the pieces. Now, in sports, we fall in love with characters, and our affinity for characters, it starts to skew our perception of reality of their play. We all love Dame, and Dame is a beast. He done sent cats home like Paul George. He's dropped 55 points in what could have been or should have been elimination caliber games and still gone on to be eliminated. However, Slick, as I look at it, Dame has enough help to get the job done in Portland if he was able to get the job done. But I don't know that Dame trusts his help. So many people are like, man, C.J. McCollum ain't enough. C.J. McCollum ain't Chris Middleton. He's a lower tier number 2. But is he? Because I pulled up the top number 2s, and real number 2s, not the fringe Batmans, but the ones we know are Shirley Robbins. And you look at the Paul George, who's Shirley Robin to Kawhi. You look at the Chris Middleton, who's Shirley Robin to Giannis. You look at Kristaps, who's Shirley Robin to Luka, and you look at CJ. CJ hangs right there with all them cats. Points per game, rebounds per game a little bit lesser, assists per game, he's right there in the middle, but his points is a little bit higher. So we're not going to sit here and act like C.J. McCollum is just a slouch. That's what we're not going to do. But C.J.'s not getting the job done in congruence with Dame. So Dame has to go either because he does not trust or allow C.J. to get the job done, or C.J. ain't good enough to get the job done. One of the two must be true. Because, Slick, there was a Splash Brothers. Chris Middleton has the opportunity to go out there and ball. But it is only ever Dame time. It is never CJ time. It's not the light-skinned bros. It's only ever Dame time. And as a result, I'm like, Dame got to go. Because the combination of Dame and the squad that he has typically been paired with isn't getting the job done. I'm not going to fault C.J. McCollum. I'm not going to fault Norm Powell. I'm not going to fault Gary Trent and company when Gary Trent was there because I thought Gary Trent was a quality player in the role he was playing. But whatever combination it is ain't working, and thus I think Dame should go.
All right, so no, he shouldn't go. because there's a third option to your options that you presented. One, that he doesn't trust those that are around him, or two, that they're not good enough. Do I have that correct?
Yes, sir.
Those are the two,
yes, sir. Yes,
right?
sir.
The third is Damian Lillard good enough to get it done as the catalyst of a championship team? And we don't just fall in love with characters. We fall in love with stories. For all that LeBron has accomplished, what's the greatest thing that LeBron has accomplished? Going back to his hometown, being down 3-1 and winning a championship. And Damian Lillard's story is one of the great stories. He's the guy that came out of Oakland, but he didn't play for the Soldiers, the LeBron and the great AAU team Soldiers. He played for the Rebels. And then he didn't go to UNC or Duke or Louisville or UCLA. He went to Weber State and then stayed there 4 years, and yet somehow was a lottery pick. And then somehow was Rookie of the Year over Anthony Davis and Bradley Beal. And then goes to Portland, which, to your point, like, has not won a championship since Bill Walton. And then he becomes a number of other things, a 6-time All-Star in 9 seasons, a 6-time All-NBA selection. And the question now is, and we've talked about this in other segments, you need to be an athletic freak. You need to be that overwhelming, dominant two-way player in order to lead a team to a championship in this day and age. That's not Damian Lillard. He has maximized what he is as a player, but these are all of his accomplishments. Now, if you go to the other side and you look at what he has done individually, he's never won a scoring title. He's never won an assist title. In fact, the only 2 categories that I could find that he has led the entire league in for a season are field goals missed and minutes played. So I can look at this 2 ways. I can look at it as Damian Lillard is being underserved by the team around him, or I can look at it and say, you know what, Damian Lillard is a great player and looked at one of the great point guards of this era, but is he good enough to be the face of a franchise that wins a championship? Or does he, much like Steph Curry, I believe, need the right perfect pieces around him in order to get it done? But in any case, if he leaves just to go get that title, then he ruins his story and it ruins everything else that he's accomplished.
If I'm Dame Dollar, first of all, I'm Hot 100 listening to y'all. But 2, I'm here to save the day, Dame. Don't go anywhere. Stay still. I know Acho just told you it's not working, so go. But that's not how you should handle your problems in life or in basketball. Work them out. You know why? Because I've seen some teams work it out. First, let's just start with the premise that in the NBA, especially of late, Slick always talks about the freaks of nature, these naturally athletic guys that are taking up these championships. Yeah, we could dive a little deeper. In the last decade, basically, who wins championships? Teams that got 2 top 5 players. Let's be real about it. If you want to look at the Warriors, the Heat, call whatever you want to say about LeBron and Kyrie, 7 of the last 10 championships, you can look at those guys and say, man, they got some top 5s on them squads. Now, there's some exceptions. And this is why I want Dame Lillard to understand, be an exception. Don't have to always follow the rules. Because in Milwaukee, they told Giannis to dip. Remember? Go, Giannis, go, Giannis. And what happened? Giannis stayed still, and it came to him. In Toronto, I'm sure Kyle Lowry was sitting there like, what, I need some help. And then he got the right help, to Slick's point. What about going back to your days when in Dallas? You remember that? When you was a Dallas Mavericks fan before you became a Laker fan, Acho? And your boy Dirk sitting there. And then finally it came to him. But outside of that, the general rule is some 2 top 5s or guys close to that are going to be the ones that win. So now you look at this Blazers situation, and there's only 2 options. Either A, you're not in that category where you're going to be able to get it because you ain't got 2 top 5s. Let's just be real. Even if you want to squeeze Damian Lillard in there, good luck with that. You can't do it with CJ because even if CJ got game like that, they're redundant. On the court, there's a lot of redundancy, which undermines their efforts. So I just look at it simply like this. If I'm Dame Lillard, I'm starting to think about not only the game, but the game within the game, which is my legacy, which is my brand and my iconic status. I want to keep this singular. I want to keep this tightly wound by staying in Portland and doing what Giannis just did, because if Giannis would have listened to us, if Giannis would have listened to y'all, I should say, Giannis would have been going on a forever quest not to get what he just got. So Dame Lillard, look at recent history and realize you got it in you. Maybe you need to switch it out for somebody else, but you stay in Portland and make it come to you.
So I think there's I take a lot of issues with what you said.
Okay, I love it.
The first thing, I don't think it takes 2 top 5s.
There are exceptions.
I think the whole thing is an exception. I think the taking
Anthony
2
Davis
top
and
5s,
LeBron?
I think Anthony Davis and LeBron. I think Steph and KD. Outside of that, that's only 3 titles right there.
Miami?
The other 7. Dwayne Wade was in the top 5 basketball player.
Day one, Dwayne Wade was number 3
But
and
they
LeBron
didn't win.
won.
They didn't win.
And he stayed there. He stayed there and declined, but he was still up there top 5.
I don't think D. Wade was a top 5 player. The Spurs didn't have no top 5 players at the time. They were just the Spurs. Kawhi squad, when Steph won and beat the Cavs, they didn't have 2 top 5 players. They had Steph.
You're making my point why he should stay.
Well, I thought your point was
my point is the rule is top 5, 2 top 5s, you're going to win it. But there are exceptions, and you just give me the list of exceptions.
So now there's a list of exceptions.
Right.
Now, to my second point, which is within that list of exceptions, I think it's a little bit of what Slick was saying. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe not. I think you have to be a big if you're going to do it alone, if you will. I look at Dirk. Whether you look at Giannis, whether you look at Tim Duncan before Tony Parker and Manu really became Tony Parker and Manu, whether you look at Kawhi, obviously Kawhi's not a big, but at 6'7", he can play big. I don't know that we've ever seen a 1 or a 2 guard or those hybrid now 1-2s like the Dame Lillards, like the Allen Iversons.
Well, Steph
who can
won
go out
one.
there and
Steph won one.
But to your point with Steph, now you have the Clay and the Draymond.
Neither one's a big. But I hear you.
And
neither one's top 5.
I think there is some sort of issue that Dame has. Now, the kicker is this. Dame isn't going to allow somebody to develop like Giannis allows Middleton to be Middleton. Because it's always Dame time. Now, it's not a problem that it's always Dame time because Dame is a baller. But when it's always Dame time, you wonder, at what cost is Dame getting his buckets?
All right.
At what cost is Dame dropping 55 a game? Is it at the cost of Nurk? Is it at the cost of CJ? Was it at the cost of Powell? Was it at the cost of Melo? At what cost? Because Dame is amazing. But statistically, it's not like Dame is really making anybody better. He himself is just amazing. But the whole squad ain't elevating. Dame is just elevating. So I am a little bit with Slick of like, maybe we last year.
Say it with your chest.
Last year we said this.
Say it.
We said maybe Giannis doesn't have enough help. But then it quickly switched to maybe Giannis isn't enough. That's where we are right now with Dame. We're still on the Dame doesn't have enough help side. But I think Slick and ISL are starting to jump on the bandwagon of maybe Dame isn't enough. Because if you look at the roster, man, between Nurk, between Melo, between CJ, between Powell, like, those are great additives if you are enough. But if you aren't enough, well, you need to add a little bit more.
Yeah. And to clarify, so rather than say a big, just someone who can dominate their position physically. Kawhi Leonard fits in that category. LeBron James, you go down the line. Guys that Giannis can dominate he is a physical matchup nightmare. Damian Lillard does not present that. Steph Curry doesn't present that. That's why he needed the right pieces around him. And that's why I don't say that Dame can't do it. It's not just all on the pieces around him. Like some of that needing the right pieces around you is because of what Dame Lillard does not have, which is that physically imposing presence. But finally, the flip side is, okay, so he goes somewhere. Well, where's he going to go? And the only reason he would is because he's looking for a title. Where's he going to go that he doesn't now become the ancillary guy? It's no longer Dame is the number one guy. If he goes to Philly, Joel Embiid's already there. He's already entrenched. If he goes to Dallas, it's Luka Doncic. If he goes to the Lakers, it's LeBron James. I mean, you can go down the line. If he's going to go to some place where he's going to have a chance to win a title, it's because he's going to join another superstar who is already established as the face of that franchise. And meanwhile, he's now giving up what I believe has allowed him to become all the things that he's become, which is the #1 guy in Portland.
Look, I know one place Dame should go. He should go to our YouTube channel to get some motivation, because the way y'all talking about him right now, he's going to be fired up. Stay still in Portland, listen to Slick, listen to Acho, and then realize, oh, I'm about to go get these dudes. But first, I need to go get some real dudes. I want to see Acho's full screen again, because we taking some shots at Damian Lillard, and we talking about all the other guys that are, what do you call them? Robins?
Robins.
Okay, even though they're named Paul, Chris F. Robins. CJ, damn, there's one thing CJ doesn't have that all those other guys have. What is it, Acho? Oh, he's not an all-star. All those guys are all-stars. Let's get rid of that. Oh, let's talk about...
Where did they get their all-stars? In the East or in the West?
Hey, man, I don't... NBA.
In the East or
in the
West?
NBA. The point is, you keep telling me about additives that are necessary, and then you name nothing but all-stars. Well, let's see if my boy Damian Lillard is playing with the all-star up there in CJ. Oh, he's not? Oh, you talking about all those additives? And then you want to bring up Giannis. Like Giannis because he's so physically dominant, and that's why. Well, isn't Drew Holiday an all-star? And the best, they say, on-ball defender. At least he's the best at something. And then we already know Chris Middleton's an all-star. So what? An Olympian? Wait a minute. So we're not talking the same thing. This ain't apples to apples. But the last point I have is when using it with Giannis is we asked Giannis, does he have enough around him? Then we switched it on Giannis, moved the goalpost, and said, you don't have enough in you, Giannis. And now we're sitting here singing the praises of Giannis because he proved us all wrong, y'all wrong, by saying, oh, it was none of that. It's just the fact that you needed it to work. Okay, well, now we got two people. Now you by yourself, Slick, you on that island. How you feel over there, Gilligan? But the point is...
In terms of what?
There's no reason to leave.
I never said you have to leave Milwaukee.
And there's
I
no
did
reason
say he didn't have enough.
And there's no reason for Damian Lillard to leave Portland.
So you think Dame can get it done in Portland?
Yes.
With the cast he currently has?
Maybe not. I'm not going to go that far yet. I'm not going to say that. Right now, he doesn't have the cast that is giving you the proper prerequisite to winning the championship, which I said before. You either got to have 2 top 5s, you got to be that outlier that's going to have some all-stars around you, and he has neither.
But my thing is,
you might have to
You can help make all-stars around you. LeBron James has helped players become all-stars or at least maintain being all-stars over the course of their career. Steph Curry has helped players, Draymond Green, maintain being all-stars over the course of their career. Yeah. Dame Lillard, he's limiting players from being all-stars just because he's so great.
I don't know what CJ would be if he were somewhere else without Dame. You don't either.
That's real because I don't. But I looked before the show. CJ's stats were better than Middleton's stats the 2 years Middleton made the All-Star game.
Yeah.
They were better, but Middleton's in the East, CJ's in the West. So off of technicality, you're right. Middleton is a all-star, but I don't think it makes Middleton better.
Yeah. Well, if Giannis proved everyone wrong, I think that Dame.
Team record at the All-Star break is a factor too.
Well, we'll figure this out. But if I'm Dame Lillard, I'm like, I don't think nobody knows the answer. So therefore, I'm staying still until I got a course of direction that everybody can agree on, starting with me. Coming up, Cam Newton started in the Patriots' first preseason game last night. We'll tell you if we were encouraged by his performance. And that's next. Woo, look out, Chase. Speak for yourself.
Cam Newton got the start and played 2 series in New England's first preseason game last night. Now Cam was 4-7, passing for 49 yards, and most notably survived a big hit from Chase Young. Mac Jones came in after Cam to a standing ovation and played the first 5 series of his young career. Now NFL analyst Bucky Brooks is back with us. So Bucky, you up first. Were you encouraged by Cam Newton's preseason start?
Yeah, I was encouraged by it because I felt like Cam Newton has a better control or better command of the Patriots offense. And I think as we go through it and as they make the decision on which quarterback to be the starting quarterback, experience matters. And as we get deeper into the preseason, we will see the ones go against the ones for longer. And that experience will give Cam Newton the edge. I believe the Patriots know they have to play a certain style to win because this still isn't an A-level roster in terms of their offensive talent and playmakers. They made some improvements under Henry and Jonnu Smith, but I don't know if any of those wide receivers that they signed, Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar respectively, are number 1s or number 2s in the league. So what they need is they need that added dimension that Cam Newton brings as a runner to help them go along and get along, because we saw it. Mac Jones was solid. He was fine. but Matt Jones doesn't give you the extra. And if they're just going to win throwing checkdowns and dump-offs, they need more talent on the outside. So for me, I'm encouraged by Cam Newton because Cam Newton gives them the best chance to win at this time.
Thank you.
Bucky, here is why I disagree with you, and I will preemptively disagree with my dog, Marcellus.
Again.
Why? Because Cam Newton, he didn't do anything yesterday that showed significant growth. He didn't do anything yesterday that said, oh, wow, it looks like you have a much better comprehension of the scheme. You're pushing the ball down the field. He literally averaged 0.7 yards of depth per pass. He didn't do anything that really said, like, this Cam Newton is wowing me, is amazing me. Then I also think, Bucky, about the Super Bowl winners these last several years. I said this to Sel before you were on the show. The Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl, Zach Ertz was their leading receiver. The Chiefs, when they won the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce, a tight end, was their leading receiver. The Niners, when they went to the Super Bowl, George Kittle, a tight end, was their leading receiver. The Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl, Zach Ertz was their leading receiver, a tight end, and Nelson Aguilar was their number 2. Is this same Nelson Aguilar, 28 years old, should be much wiser, should be better, should be more so in his prime, the same Nelson Aguilar that's on the Patriots? So don't sit here and tell me that the Patriots aren't enough if Bill Belichick literally said that Jonnu Smith is the best tight end with the ball in his hands, and a Nelson Aguilar won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, a 24-year-old Nelson Aguilar, not a 27 turning 28-year-old Nelson Aguilar. So if you start to see cats underachieve, maybe you should question, is it the deliverer that is causing the receiver to underachieve? Because as I look at it from an offensive perspective, Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Trey Burton, sounds a lot like Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar. Sounds very similar, Bucky Brooks. So I'm not just going to sit here and say that the Patriots don't have enough talent at the wideout position, thus it has to be Cam Newton. Because we've seen skill sets that are comparable outside win Super Bowls with different type of playmakers at QB.
Man, my boy over here cooking these books. I ain't mad at him either. One, I'm not getting anything out of this preseason. I don't know why we keep putting so much onus on this preseason. It's fake football, y'all. Only real to those who are either going to work in FedEx or be on the bench. It ain't real to anybody else who's going to be the bona fide starter like Cam Newton. Oh, Bill Belichick already said that Cam Newton's a starter. But let's have some fun with this because I want to take you into the mentality of a preseason football game. Okay, you know what you're thinking in priority? 1, I got to do my assignment. 2, stay healthy. Now, you know what happens in week 1? All of a sudden, you ain't even thinking about that. You say, I got to ball out, and then we got to win this game. That is completely different than the mindset of yesterday. But they still were both on the field. Cam Newton, Mac Jones, so I get it. I'm encouraged by Cam Newton's preseason start just because he didn't mess it up. Now, what was positive about it? 9-play, 54-yard drive, ended with a field goal. What will help his cause since we are trying to make this a quarterback competition, even though Bill Belichick already said that Cam Newton's a starter, is the fact that my man Mac Jones went out there and he had 3 drives, just ended in punts, and 2 with field goals. You would say, oh, that's great. Yeah, but he went 8 for 9 on the drive, and not a pass went over 10 yards. So we keep talking about dinking and dunking. It's his first game, y'all. I don't want to do this to the young rookie, but also he got to know his place, or those who are supporting him have to know his place. This is a team that is run-centric. This is a team that has to give off the complexion that we're going to run the football because that's the strength of this team. Their run blocking, their offensive line up front, Cam Newton as a playmaker. They don't have the outside presence to go out there and say we're going to use Mac Jones at his strength, which is throwing the ball from the pocket. This team was in contention in 4 games that they lost and won 7 games with nothing on the outside last year. So they're going to run it back with Cam Newton, and Mac Jones is going to learn from that experience and be better for them in the future.
Okay, so I'm glad that I got another chance because Acho has me thinking that Nelson Aguilar evidently is Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson and all those other guys. So what I did is I had to look at his stats and see that he doesn't have a 1,000-yard season in his career. But Acho says that with age and experience, evidently you get better. But I haven't necessarily seen that from Nelson Aguilar, except for the 1 year that he had in Las Vegas with Derek Carr, maybe throwing him the ball. Okay, so I'll give that. Nelson Aguilar is a solid number 2-3. Jonnu Smith has never been to a Pro Bowl. So when you talk about those tight ends leading those teams, those guys were dominant tight ends, guys that commanded double teams So now when you have two guys covering the tight end, those other guys facing one-on-one coverage, it is easier for them to play. When I look at the Patriots, I don't see that. And so because I don't see that, I'm saying that more now needs to be on the quarterback to be able to get it done. And make no mistake about it, Cam Newton, who scored 12 touchdowns on the ground as a runner last year, gives them the added dimension. And let's be real about Mac Jones. When you go back and look at the vignette that we see with Mac Jones, it was a lot of isolation routes, meaning the quarterback looks to the side, sees the one guy, throws to the one guy. If that guy isn't open, he eats it. The guy was open last night. The underneath throws, where he hit it on checkdowns and those things. Nothing complex or complicated about what he did in the scheme. But understand, as we begin to see more complex defenses, the coverage changing, they're going to need that quarterback to be more of the superhero than just the game manager. I don't know if Mac Jones has that in his bag to be more than just a guy that's a distributor. He is a pass-first point guard. He's not a guy who can go and get a bucket. And for the Patriots, they need guys who can go and get a bucket. That's why Cam Newton is going to be the starting quarterback.
But here is where I disagree. The reason I disagree is this. I'm bringing up a Super Bowl blueprint. A Super Bowl blueprint that is comparable to the Patriots roster. I'm looking at an Eagles team that won a Super Bowl against the Patriots team. Bill Belichick was on the sideline for that game. I was close. I was in the stands, but he had a much better view than even I had. And Bill Belichick saw an Eagles team that had a dominant tight end and another tight end in Trey Burton, who was a kind of a gadget guy and was a high-quality player. They saw a team that had Nelson Aguilar on the outside and had another receiver, Alshon Jeffrey, on the outside and a Torrey Smith. So Belichick is like, wait, I've lost a Super Bowl to a team that has two tight ends, has a speedster at receiver, and has competent other receivers on the outside. No Stephon Diggs, no Michael Thomases, no Odell Beckham's in his prime, no world beaters, just competent talent guys that can run running backs that can run the football and receivers that can catch the football. That's the roster Belichick's built. So don't now come and tell me that this roster doesn't have enough playmakers, because Belichick lost a Super Bowl to a roster offensively that was eerily comparable. So don't try now to say Nelson can't get the job done, because Nelson was the second best receiver, best wide receiver, second best receiver when you count Zach Ertz as the first on the Eagles Super Bowl winning team statistically. So don't try to now convince me that they ain't got enough, because Belichick lost to a team that is built the same way offensively his team is built. They have a gadget running back in James White. The Eagles had a couple gadget running backs. Darren Sproles ended up getting hurt. They still had Corey Kmet, if I'm not mistaken. The Eagles had a bruising running back. I believe they had LeGarrette Blount in that Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. The Patriots have their bruising running back in Damian Harris. The Eagles had a moderately good offensive line, but remember, their offensive lineman got hurt in Jason Peters during the course of that season. The Patriots have a good offensive line. Bill Belichick lost to a blueprint he's now recreated. The difference is, can Cam Newton have his Nick Foles moment or regular season have his Carson Wentz moment? I do not think that that is the case. If that is the case, the Patriots can be a Super Bowl contending team.
Okay, so I'm going to say that Bill Belichick didn't have to look at your Philadelphia Eagles to see the blueprint, because the blueprint that he's had previously as he's won all of those Super Bowls was very, very similar. Going all the way back to the early 2000s, when he had David Givens and David Patton and Troy Brown. And then he just had a couple of guys, Derek Graham and those guys playing tight end. He was able to do it with Tom Brady. And we're not talking about Super Bowl MVP or MVP winning Tom Brady. We're talking about Tom Brady that was the game manager. But the difference was the defense played at a high level. So we can't just take this offense and say, oh, this is enough and the quarterback has enough to be able to get it done. Yes, Cam Newton can get it done, because the lesser the talent on the outside, the more the talent at quarterback needs to be apparent. And in a quarterback competition, I'm looking at Cam Newton, I'm looking at Mac Jones. And if we're picking quarterbacks in the backyard based on talent, Cam Newton is far superior as a talent than Mac Jones. And the only way the Patriots will go to the Super Bowl with Mac Jones is if Mac Jones is distributing and the defense is playing at a high level. Right now, we haven't seen enough from the defense to know if you can get away with playing with a game manager at quarterback and letting the other parts of the team drive the bus.
Yeah, it's unfair to Cam Newton, man, comparing last year's Cam Newton without all these playmakers to this year with the new playmakers in mind in projection, but he hasn't played with them yet. But we're going to give all of that credit to Mac Jones and what he could do with them, not what Cam Newton could do with continuation in the offense, the same philosophy, and now he actually has some playmakers. So I can help Acho's point and say that's even more reason why we got to run it back with Cam Newton to see if we can extract more out of this team. And we can't compare this situation to the Philadelphia Eagles that year because that was a 6-year veteran, 28 years old, and Nick Foles. We're going to say a rookie going to do that, or we're going to think a former MVP can do that more so. I'm going to go with the former MVP. Last thing is, y'all got to stop taking so much from these preseason games. Good Lord. As a defender, in preseason game number 1, and if you're not the starting unit, do y'all understand how simplistic that defense is? How simple-minded we are? Because they just want to see who can play football. We are not going out there with anything complex. We are not in the back of the playbook. We are throwing out the most simple Pop Warner coverages and defenses we have. So the quarterback that's playing in that second quarter, that third quarter, is going against the FedEx guys who are keeping it simple. Please, let's not exaggerate how great.
Why they got to be FedEx guy?
All right, Amazon.
I wasn't a FedEx guy.
What do you feel bad? My dad worked in the post office. I love my daddy. I'm saying with pride.
I mean,
you are taking a shot at us, Marcel. It's like because
both
those
of
third and
y'all
fourth quarters.
Damn.
Yeah, those third and fourth quarters in preseason games. I emptied the bucket to make sure
The
I made
whole
the team.
thing.
So
Good job.
I take offense to
Marcellus
that.
sitting there with his pass, shoulder pads off.
Yes.
He shoot. Bucky, he'd do with the pads off, eating the sunflower seeds with the ball cap on, just out here like this. Not even watching the game, winking at women in the stands, talking about,
I did get a number in Atlanta in the third quarter, one preseason game. Coming up, the Chargers aren't taking the bubble wrap off Justin Herbert into the regular season. My dad worked at the post office. I love it. We'll tell you if we think that's smart. Next on Speak for Yourself. Justin Herbert, my dog, won Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2020 after being thrust into the starting job mere seconds before kickoff in Week 2 against the Chiefs. This season, the Chargers are taking a more measured approach for Herbert. New head coach Brandon Staley, my dog, announced yesterday that the second-year quarterback won't play a single snap in preseason. Now, that's more like it. So, Acho, is it smart for the Chargers to sit Justin Herbert all preseason?
Maybe it's physically smart, but mentally, I hate it.
You don't like it? Here
What Mike Singletary say? I'm from the old school.
Yeah, where Mike Singletary at now? Coaching?
Here's why I hate it.
Come on, man. Stop.
You got to name for me a sophomore quarterback that is 6-9 in his freshman campaign that is getting treated like a vet. I understand 31 passing touchdowns, rookie record.
Baker Mayfield.
I understand. No, Baker Mayfield was still playing in the preseason over the course of his early season struggles.
Not playing well, but yeah.
I get that Herbert is supposed to be phenomenal, but don't aid his sophomore slump and then be mad when he has a sophomore slump. That's where I'm at with Estelle. It's like, you treating Justin Herbert like Ben Roethlisberger, future Hall of Famer who didn't play in it. You treating Justin Herbert like even if Dak Prescott doesn't end up playing all preseason, you're treating Justin Herbert like Matthew Stafford. I get it. He's 0-3 in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. But he's played 12, 13 years in the league, passed for over 5,000 yards. Herbert's played 15 games and was 6-9 as a starter. Like, regardless of his individual greatness, he wasn't great. So I hate it for that reason. And then still, just practically from a football perspective, 4 new offensive linemen supposed to start. New offensive coordinator, new head coach. I had the microphone in my helmet as a middle linebacker does, as a quarterback does. You just got to get used to hearing the plays from your DC, from your OC, from the head coach first, and then the timing of getting it in before the play clock, getting everybody set, making the necessary audibles, making the pre-snap motions, the pre-snap movements, and getting the ball snap. Just the little things. So I can understand why someone would say physically it's smart, but I just don't know that he's earned the right of passage, which talked before, for it to be smart.
Man, I don't want to hear that purist-ass take. Oh, man, 1947, this is my lawn football practice. I'm glad y'all coaches are getting out and the Sean McVays, Brandon Staley's are taking over. Oh, you know who also don't play in the preseason, at least when he was with the Rams? Jared Goff. So you ain't got to be all that to do it because it was a mindset.
He did the first
it's
one.
a mindset. Look, all right, let's be real. You can't touch a quarterback in practice. Why? Because it doesn't count. We save them for what matters. So why are you going to play in the preseason game? Hey, coach, reminder, they don't count either. So we're going to save them for what matters most. Let me give it to you like this. In football, every single player has an odometer. Now, the beauty of it is we don't know how many digits we have on our odometer, how many miles left. I had 10 years. You had 4 years. Some guys have 15. Some guys have 1 day. Okay, here's the beauty of it. You ever go to a car dealership and from afar, you're like, oh, I want to get that Lexus. You got that Lexus, right? I want to get that Lexus. From afar, there are 2 things that jump out in big font when you look at the side window of that car. Everything else is small, fine print. 2 big things. You know what it is? Cost and fuel efficiency. Okay. We got to be efficient with this because they wanted to know how much it's going to cost you and where you're going with it. So guess what? Thank you, Brandon Staley, for being new-minded, new school, and saying we're going to be efficient with this because we know what we invested in our quarterback. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. I'll be there, baby. Yo, yo, yo. Coming up, Jimmy G is the 49ers starter. I'll be up on the stands like a regular fan, too. For now, we'll tell you whether Trey Lance can do anything in the preseason to change that. You want to go game with me, Acho? Next, on Speak for Yourself. Oh, you don't want to go to the game? I go. You going for real?
49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan says the plan is to play both Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance in the 49ers preseason opener on Saturday. Now, Jimmy G will start with the first team for a series before the rookie takes over with the second team for the rest of the half. Shanahan said the goal is to get Lance 30 snaps in his preseason debut. So, Sel, should this 49ers preseason quarterback battle, should it factor into the 49ers quarterback decision?
No, not at all. I keep saying this, the preseason doesn't count. It's a simple-minded defense you're going to see, especially if you're playing latter parts of the game. So that's going to be a situation for Trey Lance to go out there and exploit, but you can only take that with a grain of salt. You always bring up examples of gambling, and you always talk about playing the lotto, and you got to give yourself a chance. If you play the lotto, you got a chance, right? Imagine you were on the way to the gas station to play your lotto, wherever you go, liquor store, and you saw a 4-leaf clover there. Would you touch it? Nah, not you, Acho, because you don't believe in us. All right. What if you saw King Midas himself with the Midas touch there? Would you touch him and say, can you come in here and, I'm going to the liquor store to play the lotto? Or would you just ignore him? You probably would. Kyle Shanahan would. Well, his name is Jimmy G. This dude has the 4th best winning percentage in NFL history. Whatever you want to say about how good he is or how good he's not, he has the Midas touch. It translates into victories. Use Jimmy G up to the fullest. The only reason Jimmy G's in this position of compromise is because he can't stay healthy. Well, while he's healthy, let him play. Trey Lance, you're going to get your moment. You're going to get your day. But I can't just ignore that 4-leaf clover. I can't ignore King Midas is standing right there because I know if we're going to win, so far it's been because of Jimmy G.
That's fair, but the Midas touch is irrelevant if his hands are in a cast.
Shut up.
And for the most part, Jimmy G's ankles, knees, etc. have all been in cast. But I do like your take. The issue I have with this quarterback competition and what it may or may not mean is I don't think it can hurt Jimmy G. So I co-sign you there, right? Okay. I don't think it can hurt Jimmy G, but it can help Trey Lance.
It can.
Like, it can. If Trey Lance goes out there and balls, albeit against very simplified defense, literally all you'll see, cover 1, cover 3. That's all we saw last night against the Patriots. Hence why you saw check down after check down after check down. It's the purpose of the defense. Make him throw the check down, rally, and tackle. But if Trey Lance goes out there and makes some prolific throws, if he goes out there and scrambles and uses that athleticism, things Jimmy G's incapable of regardless of the defense and the scheme, all of a sudden, Sel, it may start to move Trey Lance up the rungs in competition against Jimmy G. I don't think Jimmy G can hurt himself in the preseason. Like you said, it's preseason.
Right.
But Trey Lance might be able to help himself enough to earn some playing time. Last thing I'll say is, if it is simplified defenses, which we both agree that it is, then Jimmy G, you should be able to ball most against these simplified defenses. You should go out there and go 5 for 7, 60 yards, and at minimum maybe a field goal, maybe a touchdown. 4 for 6, 47 yards, and a field goal or a touchdown. 8 for 11. Like, you should look very competent and confident. So don't you dare go out there and struggle against a simplified defense.
Well, the starters, like, think about it. The first series, first quarter, the starters on starters, that could get complex because you already know the system. It's the second, third, fourth quarter? Please, it's Pop Warner. Like, because coaches don't even want to put the guys in a position where they're thinking. So I just want to see you respond. I want to see if you're disciplined, do your assignments, right? So Jimmy G would never be in there in the fourth quarter, so he won't get that advantage. Let's say this, Acho, you're a great co-host, the greatest co-host ever, right? There's one issue with you. There are times where you just miss the show. Okay, I get it. But when you're here, you're amazing. They don't fire you because they like, he's so great when he's here. But you know what we're going to do? We're just going to let someone else work in. Acho, this is the beauty of this. Jimmy G is you, bruh. He just misses a show here or there. But other than that, when he's here, he's fine. And since they haven't done anything about it, why are you going to do something about it? To get rid of Jimmy G right now, in this moment when he still is healthy, because that's the only reason you are mad at Jimmy G, that he doesn't stay healthy, makes no sense. We all know, let's just be real, talent on talent, ball on ball, the people we know. Trey Lance is sick. Like they said, he next level. Okay, well, guess what? Until that guy who's making $28 million a year to be here sometimes is still healthy enough to be here right now, and this time, we're going to use him up. Coming up, if you missed the Field of Dreams game last night on Fox, that's your bad. We'll relive an iconic moment in sports that came with a Hollywood ending, and we're in Hollywood right now. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Last night's Field of Dreams game was even better than a movie script. Kevin Costner got the evening started with a star's entrance through the cornrows. The game itself more than lived up to the hype with 8 combined home runs. Bronx Bombers Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton both hit home runs in the top of the ninth to take a 1-run lead. Then White Sox star Tim Anderson capped off a true Hollywood finish with a 2-run walk-off blast into the cornfields to win the game. Truly magical night in Iowa, and viewers agreed as it was the most watched regular season game in 16 years. So, Acho, you know Field of Dreams is a classic. What's your favorite sports movie of all time?
My favorite sports movie all time. I vividly remember I was 10 years old walking into the theater for the first time to see my first movie ever, and it was Remember the Titans.
Oh, okay. Good one.
Remember the Titans. I feel like it had, just a whole good theme. Yeah. I feel like Denzel did his thing. Left side, strong side. Left side, strong side. Man, sunshine. So many memorable moments. Remember the Titans cell between Bertier, between Sunshine, between Coach Boone, between how Denzel played Coach Boone, between the meaning of just the coming togetherness in that team, between the historical aspects of the racial tension and all that jazz.
Going deep.
It was a strong movie, big dog.
Okay, I like that right there. For me, it's The Black Stallion. I don't know if you've heard of that movie. It came out in 1979. I obviously didn't go to the theater when I was 4 years old, but I remember watching this at home growing up. The Black Stallion. It was like filmed in Africa in the desert, and it was this kid who saw this stallion, getting treated like he was about to be into Preakness or a real racehorse, and they wasn't treating him so nice. So the kid befriended the horse and was like, that was his boy. You take care of him. He's a human inside. That's a real person inside, right? So it was like a human connection thing. I don't even know what happened to the horse because he became distant and the relationship got strained, but then they were reunited. The Black Stallion. Great movie.
Your tease of The Black Stallion does not really make me want to see The Black Stallion.
Really?
Any less than I wanted to see it beforehand.
Really? And I've seen Remember the Titans, and I tell you right now, The Black Stallion is a better movie than Remember the Titans.
A movie about a horse.
Yeah. Have they had a sequel? Did they have Remember the Titans
The Black Stallion 2?
The Black Stallion Returns.
It should have never left. It should have never left in the first place.
Box office. Will you stop? First of all, see my movie. I've seen your movie. You're not talking from a place.
Is yours in black and white?
Wow.
The film starts in 1946.
No, that's the book. Man, damn. It's the book, and then they made a depiction of it into the movie in 1979. It came out. Yeah, don't do that to me, man.
No, film starts. The film is
okay. Yeah. They go back. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Oh, you don't like historical pieces now?
I'm just saying, I don't want to watch a black and white movie. Is Charlie Chaplin in it? Goodness gracious.
I can't believe this. This is supposed to be a layup segment right here, and you just beating it up. You got me boxed in because I like Remember the Titans, and I love Denzel. That's the dog. I'm going to get you back on this next one. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes, you in trouble, Pat. You got to get it. We'll have an extra game in the schedule to run up his numbers this season. Can the Chiefs quarterback quarterback top Peyton Manning's single-season passing yards record? We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself.
Black Stallion doesn't really sound like a sports movie. Patrick Mahomes tops a list of quarterbacks who are most likely to beat Peyton Manning's single-season passing record, which has stood for 8 years. Now, CBS Sports put a top 5 list together due to the NFL expanding to a 17-game season. Now, filling out the top 5 after Mahomes, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, and Aaron Rodgers. So, Marcellus Wiley.
Yes, sir.
Which quarterback is most likely to break Peyton Manning's single-season passing record?
Oh, the one that was going to break it last year if he didn't get hurt. Dak Prescott. Dak. That's right. On pace last year for 5,900 passing yards. Wonder what the record is. 5,477, the sheriff. So, yeah, Dak was going to break it, and he's going to break it this year once he get that second MRI.
I agree with you on that one, big dog. I think it will be Dak Prescott.
There you go.
Primarily because Tom Brady, I think, will be ahead in too many games and probably will not be in. Aaron Rodgers ahead in too many games and probably will not be in. And Josh Allen ahead in too many games and probably will not be in. Dak Prescott will break the record because he will have to break the record for the Cowboys to have a chance at winning.
What? The Cowboys going to be ahead in games because they're going to win the division. That's what's going to happen. And Dak's going to light it up in process of winning the division. That's it for us. Have a great weekend. Acho, love you.